Hey everybody, since a lot of people responded to making a satin neck on a PRS SE, I thought I'd show you how to do it with one of the few PRS SEs I have left that doesn't have a satin neck. I got this guitar when I restarted playing guitar 1,000 days ago today in August of 2018, and as you can see it's a PRS SE Tremonti Custom, and it has the polyurethane neck. So, if you want to make a satin neck, you just need a couple of things. You need some painter's tape, a scour pad, and a clean, dry cloth. I'm using this microfiber cloth I got a pack of from Amazon. You can use an old t-shirt or something, it doesn't really matter. First thing you want to do is use the tape to mask off an area of the neck. Try to make this so it's not a crotch shot the whole time. So I come down to where the heel is and just give it a little wrap around with an angle. I don't worry too much about how even I have it on either side or the straightness or anything. If you worry about a lot of nuanced detail, maybe guitar isn't going to be the fun hobby for you. There's a lot to worry about, and if you start ladding it up, it's not worth pursuing. Something I'm going to try for the first time on the top is actually carving out a little like triangle here. So I've got some scissors to help me make a little better cut in the tape. And I am just going to try to follow the curve of the hand relief. Something about there. So I will get that smoothed out and then crumple the tape up to follow the curve. This is a little trickier than I thought it would be. Alternatively, you can just wrap a straight edge across the top like I did at the bottom, or crooked edge. Like I said, it doesn't matter that much. That looks pretty good. Now I'll have to put one on the other side. Nope, gotta get this point lined up here. So I apologize, I don't have any video editing software or anything fancy to make a clean professional video that you're used to seeing on YouTube. I'm just doing this because I'm waiting to go shopping with my wife, pick out some plants at the nursery. This edge a little neater there. All right, so this is the area that will stay glossy and pristine. Start with a dry scour pad, and what we're gonna do is just rub like hell along the length of the neck, and this can take up to 5 minutes. Again, I don't own any video editing software, so you can just kind of hang through this with me, be hypnotized by the calmness of my voice, or what you'll probably want to do is just go ahead and skip ahead. What we're doing is just scratching off the polyurethane. And what we're going to leave behind is the paint. And probably what we're going to leave behind too is a thin layer of a much thinner layer of polyurethane that has some scuffs in it. And that gives the neck a great satin feel. I'm not going just perfectly straight up and down. You might notice I'm using my wrist a little bit to move the scour pad around. That way I have kind of randomized strokes wherever I am on the length of the neck. And I'm noticing I'm leaving some untouched spots here and there. So I'll take a moment and just focus on the area by the joints, just to make sure I have a nice sharp line when I'm all done. Just kind of going up and down, and I'm applying a firm amount of pressure. A little bit of moisture from my hand got on the neck there. You may have seen a black spot form briefly. At this point, I think I'm about halfway done, at least with the dry process. Someone in the comments of my first post, which was just a couple of images and the description on how to do this, asked what I do for the binding. I don't do anything for the binding. The plastic binding doesn't get scratched up much. The rosewood edge of a rosewood fingerboard just comes along for the ride. It gets a little satined up. All right, I just want to see where I'm at. So I'm going to give this a brief little wipe down here. Wipe away some of the excess. And what this is polyurethane dust. And I can see some areas where I need to really scratch up better around here. Really the whole neck is general. So in general, I think I got it right. So I'm going to take my scour pad, which is now covered in polyurethane dust, use the other side, and keep the process going. As I did on the bottom, I'm just going to pay a little attention here to where my masked edge is. Oops. Let's get that nice and scratched up. Applying a lot of pressure on my fingers, but not so much anywhere else, so I can keep this longitudinal scratch pattern on the neck. This is the first time I've ever done one of these little V scarves, and all the other guitars I have, I just put a straight piece of tape around here near the nut. Going back to pay attention to the scarf joint down at the bottom. I'm sorry, not scarf joint, but the masked area. I've probably called this a scarf joint for a couple times now. And I'm just rubbing like hell. Few ovals here to randomize up the scratching again, make it more uniform, more pleasant to the eye. Feel about the same. All right, give it a little wipe down again, just see where we're at. The neck will feel pretty warm right now. Again, you're going to apply some decent pressure to this as you do it. You don't want to strain your elbow or anything, but you don't just come in and give it a wipe. You really give it a push from the elbow. Well, I said not to be too picky while doing this, and for whatever reason, maybe it's because this is the second neck I've done today, I'm feeling the need to be all scrupulous around these paint edges. And I have a feeling it's just wasted effort. And it will look exactly the same as I did on the other one, which I did in a little less time. So your neck looks something like this now. After all that rubbing, your scour pad's full of dust from the polyurethane that you've just taken off. And you can feel the smoother or more satin paint on the wood without the polished effect that the pure polyurethane provides. Now you can take this same scour pad, rinse it off, make it real damp, and proceed to the next step. What I've done is I've already wetted the scour pad from my my last neck, left it wet, and we're going to now repeat the process we just did with a wet scour pad. The water soaks into the fibers of the scour pad, sort of. It makes them less dense, and it's like you're moving down to a finer grain of sandpaper. And this just helps reduce the deeper scratches that you've made and give the neck a more uniform look. You could totally skip this step if you wanted to. And I'm gonna try and rub the neck for roughly the same amount of time that I did on the last one. Again, what this is really doing is just touching the neck up, giving it a bit of a uniform feel. While the water works to kind of rinse off the dust out of the neck. The water's also starting to peel the tape away from here. It'll fuzz up my nice clean joint line a little bit, but again, much less material gets removed with the wet cloth. You definitely, I would say you want to use a scour pad for this and not stainless steel wool or steel wool, because that steel wool is conductive. It will break down into a fine particle, and no matter how hard you try to tape off your pickups and switches, they'll work their way in there and one day cause a short. All right, so I'm just gonna focus on the body of the neck here. Less strokes. Now less pressure. And we'll see where we're at. Again, dry, clean-ish microfiber. Side's a little better, so that's what I'll use. Remove all the moisture. See, it didn't take much prep work. I didn't even take the strings off the guitar. A couple of deep scratches remain. Maybe in a couple of weeks I'll come back to this unit and give it another little rub down to try and reduce the deeper scratches. I cannot hold on to this cloth. There we go, dry it off, wipe away some of the dust that's on the body down here. Next new string day, I'll be going over this with a fine-tooth comb, so to speak, just to get all the dust off different areas. And there you have it. You can see the nice sharp line that the tape provided us, and I think the headstock came out pretty neat. Maybe worth a couple minutes of your time to mask the pass the headstock off in that shape if you'd like. You can see the effect on the rosewood fingerboard is minimal. It's a much harder wood. Let me dry this off a little better and we can look down here at the 13th fret where you can see there's a transition, and it's strong in the where the polyurethane was, but you can hardly see a difference in the reflection on the rosewood edge. So that is how you take a polyurethane coated neck. I think it works with nitro too. I did this on a S2 model. And get yourself a smooth satin feel with a somewhat professional looking result. I hope you have a great weekend. Bye.